Surely, they are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. This comes to us from Marcus Aurelius, and it is in the opening of Book 2, which is essentially Book 1 of Meditations. Now, I will read the first paragraph to give you guys some background. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surely they are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and I have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind and possessing a share of the divine. And so none of them can hurt me. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. We were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. To feel angry at someone, to turn your back on him, these are obstructions. Now, and that surely at the start of the quote that started this video, I feel the weight of humanity resting on that surely. And what I mean by that is, Marcus says surely in such a way that he refuses to accept that people do evil, do wrong, hurt others with the knowledge that they are doing wrong. You know, some people read that, and I think even I, the first time I read that, felt like Marcus was being pretty harsh, telling himself the people he deal with today will be ungrateful, dishonest, so on and so forth. But that is the truth. That is what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So Marcus, like a wise person, prepared himself for the inevitable. But then he says, surely the only reason they do these things is because they can't tell they are wrong. Surely they are not willingly deprived of the truth. He says, if they knew what I knew, if they knew the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, they would not act in such a way. But he says they don't. They are deprived of the truth unwillingly. And he doesn't hold this against them. And time again in Meditations, that's the name of the book Marcus Aurelius wrote. And time again, he reminds himself that to be patient with people and to realize that, like him, all anyone ever does is what they believe is best. All anyone ever does is what they believe is good. I think Marcus believes, and I truly believe, that if people had two options, a good option and an evil option, and they knew this was good and this was evil for them, they would choose the good. And that's hard to believe with human nature because of all the ugliness in the world in the past, in the present, and surely in the future. But I think, and that's why I say the weight of humanity rests on the shoulders of that surely. Because it's really hard to bear the horrible events and deeds that humans have done if you think they did it out of malicious intent. But if you can accept the view that surely these people are just misguided, surely these people were raised with misguided beliefs, surely they don't see the world through the lens I see the world through, surely they have mistaken evil for good and good for evil. And if you can accept that view, I believe it's very hard to harbor ill will towards another. Because if they are not willingly deprived of the truth, why would you hold that against them? It's like a sick mind. I've made a video about this before, but I believe we should view a sick mind as we do a sick body. If someone gets cancer, we don't we don't do anything but give them our sympathy. But if someone has a cancer of the mind, of the metaphysical, mental state of the mind, we act as if they are morally reprehensible. But truly, it is better to be harmed than it is to do harm. So you are truly in a better state than these people who are harming. Yes, you may bear the physical pain of their evil, but your conscience is cleared of the fact that you know you are not the one in the wrong. You are the one being wronged. And just ask yourself, if you struggle with accepting the fact that it's better to be harmed than to do harm, would you want to switch places? Would you rather be Hitler, or would you rather be a Jewish person in a concentration camp? I mean, that's up for you. That's up to you to decide. But I'd rather be harmed than do harm. But if you choose the other, then I don't I don't view you as a evil person. I view you as holding beliefs that you can't help but hold, and you just haven't been shown the way. You haven't seen the beauty in the world that I have seen, and that is of no fault to your own. As Marcus also says in that paragraph, it's unnatural to feel anger towards another, because a Stoic, a man as Marcus Aurelius, takes the view that the human race, the world, is one body, is one community. Someone has to be the foot, someone has to be the eyes, someone has to be the hand, someone has to be the butt. But not one of those things is inherently better than the other, because they don't work without they don't work if they're not all working in conjunction. You need a foot to walk. Your leg may be more important than your foot, but without your foot, you ain't walking. And if your foot hated the fact that it had to be stepped on all day, you wouldn't be walking. It wouldn't be doing its duty. And that's what Marcus says. Someone's got to be the foot. He says also in Meditations, is a world without, I forget the right word, but essentially evil people possible? And he reminds himself, no, that is not possible. And you meet one, so just realize that. You realize this was a possibility, so don't let it catch you off guard, but also accept the fact that This person is part of a whole, and what doesn't hurt the whole cannot hurt the individual. That is a view a man of Marcus's caliber would take, and that is a view a Stoic would take. But I really just wanted to make this video to emphasize the point of that surely. For surely, people are not deprived of the truth. Surely, they do not do wrong knowingly. Surely, they have not seen the beauty of good. And surely this can help you bear these people. This can help you bear the hardships in life that other people inflict on you. And you can always remind yourself it's better to be harmed than to do harm. Surely.